In the opulent sprawl of London's Kensington, where ivy-cloaked mansions whispered secrets to the Thames, Reginald Ashford reigned as a titan of finance. At 62, with silver hair sculpted like a Renaissance statue and eyes sharp as cut emeralds, he had built an empire from the ashes of his youth, banks that bent economies, vineyards that bled liquid gold. But beneath the veneer of victory lay a hollow ache. His son, Julian, the quiet heir to it all. Julian Ashford was 28, a poet trapped in silence. Born with a rare neural disorder that stole his voice in childhood, he communicated through the elegant scrawl of journals and the tender brush of sign language fingers. The world saw him as a fragile ornament, beautiful, with tousled chestnut waves and storm-grey eyes that held galaxies of unspoken longing. But to Reginald, he was a puzzle unsolved, a legacy unclaimed. He needs a heart that speaks his language, Reginald would mutter in boardroom soliloquies, his mergers cold but his paternal dreams fervent. Enter Alara Wren, a 25-year-old florist from the misty moors of Cornwall. With hair like spun copper cascading in wild waves and freckles dusting her cheeks like stars on a summer dusk, Alara was no heiress, but a soul woven from wildflowers and whimsy. She had wandered into Ashford's world by chance, or fate, delivering bouquets to his annual gala. One arrangement, a cascade of midnight lilies symbolizing resilient silence, caught Julian's eye across the chandelier-lit ballroom. Their gazes locked, hers, a curious spark, his, a silent plea. In the garden shadows, he signed beautiful, his hands dancing like leaves in the breeze. She smiled, replying with clumsy gestures learned from a childhood book. It was enough, a fragile bridge over the chasm of words. Reginald watched from the terrace, cigar smoke curling like unspoken regrets. He had lost Julian's mother to cancer when the boy was 10. Her final breaths a symphony of lullabies Julian could no longer echo. Marry him, Reginald proposed to Alara the next dawn, over porcelain tea in his sun-drenched conservatory. I'll give you the world, estates in Tuscany, jewels from Cartier, if you learn to love him without words. No pity, no grand speeches. Just presence. Teach him his whole. Alara's heart stuttered. She had dreams of her own, a cottage garden bursting with heirloom roses, stories penned in the hush of twilight. But in Julian's eyes, she saw a mirror to her own losses, her father's abandonment, her mother's faded letters. And if I can't, she whispered, fingers tracing the rim of her cup. Reginald's smile was a blade sheathed in velvet. Then walk away, my dear. But know this, some silences scream for salvation. What began as a bargain bloomed into a ballet of the unspoken. Alara moved into Ashford Manor, a Gothic labyrinth of echoing halls and hidden libraries. Reginald's coffers funded her immersion, private tutors in British Sign Language, weekends in secluded retreats where gestures replaced grammar. But it was Julian who unraveled her, not the lessons. Mornings found them in the orangery, where he would trace the veins of leaves with his fingertips, signing life's quiet pulse. She would respond by pressing a petal to his palm, letting its fragrance speak of hidden strengths. No words, just the poetry of proximity. Yet shadows crept in. Society's vultures circled, tabloids dubbed her the silent bride, speculating on her motives, gold digger or saint. Reginald's inner circle sneered, their whispers like thorns, she'll tire of the mute life. And Julian. His journals revealed tempests. What if she stays for the silver, not the soul? One stormy eve, as thunder rattled the leaded windows, Alara found him by the fire, hands clenched, a half-burned page in the grate. I am not your charity, he signed fiercely, tears carving rivers down his face. Love me as I am, or leave before you break us both. Her heart fractured like fine china. That night, alone in the moonlit rose garden, Alara confronted the mirror of her fears. She had come for the promise of security, but stayed for the man who saw her wildness as wonder. In the hush, she signed to the stars, I choose you. Not the words, but the world in your silence. Dawn brought her confession, not in ink, but in action. She burned her own dreams, scattering ashes into the wind, and knelt before Julian with a single wild rose. Marry me, her hands pleaded. Let me be your voice, your echo, your everything. Reginald, eavesdropping from the alcove, felt the first crack in his armored heart. He had engineered this union like a hostile takeover, blind to the alchemy of authentic affection. But as Alara and Julian wed in a ceremony of sunlight and symbols, vows exchanged in fluid signs, rings slipped on with trembling grace, Reginald saw the unforeseen, his son, radiant, whole. The millionaire who bartered hearts learned humility in the currency of quiet joy. Months unfurled like petals. Alara's garden flourished at the manor's edge, a riot of color where neighborhood children learned signs through games of tag. Julian's poetry, once private, spilled into chapbooks that flew off shelves, his words, though silent, roaring through the world. And Reginald? He stepped back, gifting them the Cornish cottage Alara once dreamed of, watching from afar as his legacy bloomed not in ledgers, but in laughter that needed no sound. One autumn twilight, as leaves pirouetted in golden descent, Alara cradled their newborn daughter, tiny fists waving like noviciners. Julian's eyes, brimming, signed our miracle. Reginald, holding the babe with unpracticed tenderness, whispered hoarsely, "I thought I gave you a bride, son. But she gave us a family." In the end, the bargain that bound them freed them all. Love, Alara realized, was never learned in silence. It was discovered there, a fierce, wordless flame that warmed the coldest empires. And Reginald, the architect of it all, finally understood. Some fortunes are not inherited, but ignited, one unspoken heartbeat at a time. Thank you for watching this story till the end. Sparkles. If it touched your heart, please support us. Thumbs up sign, give it a like. Speech balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Bell, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Your support helps us create more stories that inspire and make you believe in miracles. Your participation means a lot to us. Heavy Blackheart Hash.